Hello again, I'm Rahana, and we are playing more of Gakuen Heaven 2. We're on Professor Sakaki's route, and we are continuing right after the scene at the Oden stall, where everyone has finished eating, and now it's time to go home. I'm full. No kidding. I mean, did you see how much that kid was eating?
Sakaki sensei, ごちそうさまでした.
Oh, Professor Sakaki, thanks for the meal.
寄り道せずに帰れよ.
Don't stray on the way back to the dorm.
はーい.
Okay.
大丈夫です。私がついてます。
It's fine, I'll go with him.
それじゃあ、おやすみなさい.
Then good night.
おやすみ、朝比奈くん。
Good night.
また明日.
See you tomorrow.
俺たちも引き上げるか。伊藤は学園棟の外から通ってるんだったな。
I guess we're also leaving. Ito, you commute from outside the school island, don't you?
はい。
Yes.
榊先生は島内の教職員寮ですよね。
And Professor Sakaki, you're at the faculty dorm on the school island, aren't you?
ああ。
Yeah. So here's the thing. Keita lives off the school island. It seems like it's that way no matter what character key or character route you unlock for him. So it seems like whoever his precious person, his special person is, he's living off the island with them, or as much as he can with that person, you know, if they're not traveling, because it seems like Niwa's away, and Saionji's away, and Kazuki seems to be away a lot, so he doesn't really get to see all of these people all that often, but they do live together off the school island. So that's a nice thing. Meanwhile, Professor Sakaki, as we noticed back in Sonoda's route, where Sonoda was teasing him pretty hardcore about being a dorky bachelor and living on the school island instead of trying to go find someone, is living in the staff dorm.
榊先生。笠原くんのこと、ありがとうございました。
About Kasahara, thank you.
なんだい、いきなり。
What's that all of a sudden?
僕からもお礼を言わせてもらうよ。ありがとう。
Let me tell you my gratitude too. Thank you.
どうした、二人して。
What is it with both of you?
実は、俺と松岡先生は、2代目の理事長から彼のサポートを頼まれていたんです。
Actually, Dr. Matsuoka and I were asked by the second director to support him.
二代目というと、鈴菱の御曹司のことか？
Second, you mean the heir of Suzubishi?
はい。
Right.
俺たちは昔から彼とは親しかったので。
We've been friends with him for a long time.
なるほどな。
I see.
彼だけじゃなくて、お兄さんの直君からも笠原君のことは頼まれていたんだ。
And it wasn't just him. His older brother now also entrusted us with Kasahara.
ただ笠原君は弱音を吐いたり他人に相談するタイプではないから。
Only Kasahara isn't the type to complain or talk to others. And that's something we see very much when we play through Tomo's route, that he's so closed up and won't talk to anybody, because we do know at some point in there that Keita at least has been asked to kind of take care of him and watch over him. And he's not successful in that. He actually has to give that letter to Yuki. You know, find the friend who can help him, that letter from Now, and give it to that person so they can help him. I guess maybe Now had a feeling that his brother wouldn't open up to someone except a close friend like that, and wouldn't really reach out to someone in a position of authority to get some sort of assistance. But yes, he's not the type to complain or talk to others.
俺なんか心配してあげるくらいで、あまり力になったとは言えなかったんです。
I can't really say I've helped him much other than to be worried about him.
だから、榊先生が笠原くんの味方についてくれて、本当に助かりました。
So it's a real help that you're on Kasahara's side.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
おいおい、その笠原を追い詰めたのも俺なんだぞ。
Hey, hey, wasn't I the one who cornered Kasahara?
でも、最後には彼の力になってくれたじゃないですか。
But in the end, you helped him, didn't you?
おかげで彼も吹っ切れた感じがするよ。
And thanks to that, he seems to have gotten over things.
それは俺の功績じゃない。
Well, that's not my achievement.
俺は笠原を試しただけだ。
I just tested him.
奴が変わったとしたら、それは周りにいた朝比奈や生徒たちのおかげだな。
If he changed, it's thanks to the students around him, like Asahina. So Sakaki knows what's what. He saw what was going on. He saw Yuki giving him that push to do something, to stand up for himself, and understands that's where it came from.
それでも君という大人が彼のことを理解して同じ立場から彼の仕事を支えてくれた。
But nevertheless, you as an adult understood him, and since you're in the same position, you supported his work.
それは彼にとってとても助けになっているはずだよ。
That must have been a big help to him.
それにしても朝比奈君は本当にいい生徒会長になったね。
And besides, Asahina has become a really good student council president.
俺もそう思います。
I think so too.
行動力はあるし、何があっても諦めなかったし。
He's energetic, and no matter what happened, he didn't give up.
そうだね。
That's right.
それに朝比奈くんっていつも誰かのために全力で頑張ってたじゃないですか。
And he always works his very hardest for the sake of others.
ああいうのを見てると、彼が生徒会長で本当に良かったなって思いましたよ。
When I see him like that, I think I'm really glad he's the student council president.
まっすぐにものを見て周囲にもまっすぐな力を向け正しい方向に導いていく。
He faces things directly and makes an honest effort for those around him, and he tries to steer things in the right direction.
それは誰にでもできることじゃない。
That's not something just anyone can do. So nice to see also after Yuki has left and they're talking about him, they're saying nice things about him. They're acknowledging, all the good things about his personality that we as the player have witnessed as we've played through and seen him do these things and help his friends, take care of other people, care about others more than himself. So I like seeing that personality and that effort has been noticed and kind of acknowledged by some of the other characters as well.
褒めすぎだな。
And here comes the wet blanket. That's too much praise.
そんなことないですって。
No, it's not.
朝比奈くんは本当によくやってくれたと思いますよ。
I think Asahina did a really good job.
さっき僕が伊藤先生と朝比奈君は似ていると言ったのは本当だよ。
Before, when I said that Professor Ito and Asahina resembled each other, it's true.
まっすぐでひたむきなところなんか特に。
Especially in how they are straightforward and earnest.
朝比奈君を見ているとまるで7年前の伊藤先生を見ているみたいだった。
When I see Asahina, it's like I'm seeing Professor Ito from 7 years ago.
それに君たちは運がいいんだろう。
And both of you have good luck.
きっと君たちは根本的なところが似ているのかもしれないね。
I'm sure you might resemble each other in the fundamentals.
だから特別なことができるんだと僕は思うよ。
That's why I think he can do special things.
そうかな。
I guess. So now Keita's a little embarrassed at being praised here a bit too. Remember that there's a big age difference between Keita and Matsuoka, so Matsuoka saw him as a student and now he knows him as an adult. And it's also nice to see that comparison here because it is done that way on purpose. Yuki is very similar to Keita from the past, though Keita had some self-esteem issues in some of his character roots, but he has some other character roots where he's extremely similar to Yuki, and those are actually my favorite ones in the entire game, the original game, where he is very selfless and he helps people who are in serious need, who are really suffering. And unfortunately, those are mostly the kind of minor characters, the characters who are almost written off by the story, who don't have super satisfying conclusions. Well, I mean, their stories have good conclusions, but their romance scenes are lacking, let's just say. But yes, we have the comparison, obviously. Yuki and Keita are meant to be kind of echoes of each other, very similar. Only Yuki has a lot of confidence, and I think a lot of that comes from being selected to be the student council president. So he's an ordinary kid in a school full of extraordinary people, but he's in an extraordinary position. And that lets his personality really shine through here. My wife and I talk about this a lot, that Keita probably would have benefited a lot from having some sort of official position like that where he could feel like he was making a difference and have something positive, make some sort of positive change in the school rather than kind of feeling like he doesn't really belong there, especially since a big part of the conflict of the game is him being expelled from the school because the assistant director at the time said, hey, you're just an ordinary student brought here on the whim of the director. You don't belong here. Get out. So there is that. But he has grown up into a nice young man and seems to be more competent than he used to be, so that's good. Still a little shy, still a little blushy, still talks too fast, but that's alright.
榊先生はどう思いますか？
Ah, so here we go. Dr. Matsuoka is asking Professor Sakaki, what do you think
朝比奈のことか？
about Asahina? And we get a choice here. He's just an ordinary student, or maybe he's special. Maybe he's special.
確かにあいつは特別かもな。
Well, maybe it's true that he's special.
え
Keita is just like so shocked.
なんだ？
What?
ああいえ榊先生が特定の生徒のことを特別って言うなんて珍しいなと思って。
No, I just thought it was unusual that you'd call a particular student special.
そうか。
Is it?
はい
Yeah.
能力的には平凡極まりないが、この学園の他の生徒にはない何かがあるのかもしれない。
Ability-wise, he's as ordinary as he can be, but he might have something that other students at this school don't.
この1ヶ月のあいつを見て俺も感じたことだ。
Seeing him this past month, I sense it too.
それにあいつはきっかけだからな。
Besides, he was the catalyst.
きっかけ
Catalyst.
そうだ。
That's right.
朝比奈とその周囲に集まる連中がいなかったら、ベルワンの開催自体がなかっただろう。
If it hadn't been for Asahina and the group gathered around him, the Bell One wouldn't have been held.
それに俺も最終的に生徒側につこうとは思わなかったからな。
And I didn't think I would side with the students in the end.
朝比奈がここに来た意味は大いにあったんだろう。
Asahina coming here has been very meaningful. So, his deal was that he didn't really want the school to close and used the Bell One as an excuse to say, oh, I'm testing the students. And, Yuki's determination really played into that and helped him get what he wanted, which was to kind of see if the school was worthy of continuing. So, it makes sense that he's acknowledging that.
あもうこんな時間だバスが来ちゃう
Ah, poor Keita. Oh, it's already so late. The bus is going to arrive.
それじゃあ俺お先に失礼します
Well, I'll be going now. Do you have to talk so fast? My god.
ああ、
Yeah.
お疲れ様。
Thank you.
また明日
See you tomorrow.
俺も行くとするか。
I guess I'll go too.
榊先生、
ん？まだ何かあるのか？
Huh? Is there something else?
君はこの先どうするんだい？
What are you going to do from now on?
君が生徒側についたということは、榊グループとの関係が悪化してるんじゃないのか？
And I like this little exchange here. Kind of sets up Matsuoka as someone who's quietly observing from afar as things go on. Remember, he's been at the school for a while. I'd say he's been here maybe a couple years before Keita even got here, so maybe 9-10 years. So he's kind of this quiet observer. Not really an outsider, but a little bit, because he's kind of isolated in the nurse's office, taking care of his specialty, of course. But here he says, siding with the students is damaging your relationship with the Sakaki group, isn't it?
場合によっては、君は教師としても居づらくなるかもしれない。
Depending on the situation, you might not be able to remain as a teacher.
かもな。
Possibly. And he doesn't seem too ruffled by this.
ま、なるようになるだろう。
Well, whatever happens, happens.
俺がこの学園に来たのは、所詮家の都合だからな。
I came to this school for my family's convenience, after all.
俺はこの学園に何の恩義も感じていないし、こだわる理由もない。
I don't feel any obligation to this school or have any reason to be attached to it.
たとえここを離れても BL 学園という場所にこだわらなければどうにでもなるさ。
Even if I leave here with no attachment to the place called BL School, it's all the same to me.
そういう松岡先生こそ医師の資格まで持ってるくせになぜここにとどまってるんだ？
Well, let me ask you in the same vein. Even though you're qualified to be a doctor, why do you stay here? Because he's just doing nursing type stuff. He could work at a higher level.
そうだな。
Let's see.
僕は伊藤先生とは違って恩義ではなく、負い目があるからかもしれない。
Unlike Professor Ito, it's not gratitude, but maybe a debt.
負い目か。
A debt?
前理事長のことか？
You mean to the previous director, and that's now?
医者として彼の体調を見てきた立場としては、 それもあるかな。
Well, as a doctor, I was in a position to monitor his condition, so there might be that too.
あれは誰のせいでもない。責任を感じる必要はないんじゃないか？
That wasn't anyone's fault. You don't need to feel responsible, do you?
それは分かっているんだけど、彼の思いを聞いてたからね。
Well, I know that, but I listened to his
できる
desires.
ことならこの学園であの兄弟を再会させてあげたかったよ。
If possible, I wanted to have the brothers reunite at this school.
そうだな。
I see.
でも僕がこの学園にいる本当の理由は単にここの居心地が良すぎるからかもしれない。
But my real reason for being at this school might simply be that I'm too comfortable here. So I don't know if they're kind of like dancing around the plot of the previous game and just not saying too much about it, or if they're just like kind of writing that off and giving him a different reason to be here. I guess you can interpret it either way. But it would have been nice to hear more from him. I do like Dr. Matsuoka for some unknown reason because he's hardly in anything, but I'm just like really fond of him. I don't know. I like him.
それじゃあ僕はそろそろ戻るよ。
Well then, I'll be heading back now.
ああ、お疲れ。
Yeah.
榊先生、多分君がいなくなるようなことになったらきっと生徒は悲しむと思いますよ。
If you end up leaving, I'm sure the students will be sad.
じゃあまた明日。榊先生。
Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Another sigh.
まったく。
Jeez. Maybe I've stayed here a little too long. And that ends the scene. That also ends the day. We don't get an end of day with Professor Sakaki. Unfortunately, that would have been kind of fun, but... So yeah, interesting little exchange there where we get to make a decision. There's not many decision points in this one. That was the second one. There's only 4, and the last one is kind of... It doesn't really do much for the story. It just kind of lets us see some interesting things. So when it gets to that point, I'll do all of those. So there's really only one major choice left here, and it gets made not too far off in the future, actually, and decides how the ending will go. If we'll get, kind of the standard boring ending, the kind of romance ending. So, of course, we're doing the full ending because the other one is really exactly the same with just some things removed, which is boring. Nobody wants to do that. But yes, so now we've gotten to see everyone's kind of opinion of Yuki, and of course, as the player, we have decided to influence Professor Sakaki's opinion of Yuki, and we'll do it again soonish. And from there, things will get pretty interesting. So I will leave that here and pick up next time with the next day. And I thank you for watching, as always, and I hope you'll come back next time.